Hi, my name is Bob Mullins. I was born in 1947, grew up in Southern California until I was about 24, then moved to Seattle, and I started my business here in 1974.
Speaking of your business, what got you interested in photography? Did you start off working in photography before Moonphoto?
Well, I was interested in an early age. My dad bought me a package of sunproofing paper from a camera store. And with sunproofing, you take a negative that's already developed and you put it in a little like picture frame and show it to the sunlight, and it turns it purple or red. And so the negative becomes a positive. As long as you keep it out of the sun from then on, you have a picture. So that was our first, when I was about maybe 6 or 7, interest in photography. In high school, I became the yearbook photographer and newspaper photographer. And so I got to go to football games, I got to do pep assemblies and various student activities. And then I got a job at a studio when I was a senior in high school. And I worked there for about 7 years. I learned a lot there. And I also took college classes in photography at that point.
What kind of work were you doing at the studio? How did it relate to photography?
I got a job printing photographs and developing film at the studio in Huntington Beach, California. And I did not actually take the portraits, but the owner of the studio was very good at that, and he taught me a few things, but mostly I did the printing.
I guess you kind of already answered this question, but when did you start Moonphoto and why did you?
After I moved to Seattle, I worked for a photo lab called Western Photographics for a couple of years, and I took over their black and white department. I rented out a little darkroom from them, and then I decided to go into business by myself. I started a place on Greenwood Avenue, and it was about $115 a month rent. My first month of income was about $300, so about a third of it went for rent. And I had $200 left over to buy materials and supplies.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the jump from working for the photo lab to starting your own? What made you want to do it on your own?
I just wanted to be independent, I guess. I wanted to have my own business. It was challenging. At first, I had trouble getting enough business. So you'd advertise in the newspaper, you'd advertise in the phone book, you'd make brochures and send them around and send newsletters around. And the work came trickling in slowly, and then increased. The word of mouth was probably the best reference. And then I got work from my former employer at Western Photographics. They would send black and white over to me. And then after a while, we went into color. Around 1995, we went into color by getting a scanner and a Fujix pictography printer, which was full color. It was the only one in the Northwest except for Nintendo had one.
When you first opened on Greenwood, were you only developing black and white film? Or what services were you offering first open?
We were developing film and making small prints up to 20 by 24. And then after a while we did any size. If it was a mural 8 feet long, we wouldn't turn it down. We'd just say, yeah, we can do it, then figure out how to do it.
How did you get the name for Moonphoto?
Well, in high school, my last name is Mullins, so there was a cartoon strip called Moon Mullins in the Sunday Funny Papers. And so people picked that up and started calling me Moon because my last name was Mullins. So then came time to name the business. Somebody suggested Moonphoto with a F-O-T-O, and I said, that sounds kind of good, but I don't like the F-O-T-O part. So I put a P-H-O-T-O and Moonphoto as it is now.
What was the most challenging part of starting your own business?
I'd say it was getting the business in the first place. Like I say, we did advertising, we did newsletters and brochures. The phone book probably did the best at first. Now the phone book is nothing.
How has film photography evolved over the years?
It got better and better, and that is film and lenses got better and better, and until it kind of reached a peak in the 60s and 70s. Maybe the lenses are a little bit better now, but the film is not any better, really. And if you take the best quality print from let's say a Hasselblad camera from back in the 60s or 70s, and you have a high quality digital camera, you're hard pressed to tell much difference as far as sharpness and resolution. Digital has a different look than film photography. It's kind of like, you can't put your finger on it, but it's a little bit different. I'd say film photography has a roundness to it and more forgivingness to it, and digital is more of a cutout, make or break. Is it a pixel or not a pixel kind of thing.
So as film photography has adapted over the years, going from kind of like early film photography and into kind of the current era where film is shot alongside digital, how has Moonphoto adapted to the lifespan of film?
Long about 2003, 2005, digital took over the whole photographic industry, and a lot of people didn't expect it to happen that fast, but within 3 or 4 years, most every photographer had switched from film to digital. Even those who swore they'd never go digital, they did. Almost everybody did. But one of the nice things about today is that you can shoot film, scan it on a high quality scanner, then you have all the tools in Photoshop or other image editing programs to fix up, manipulate, and make pictures better.
When you were saying all photographers switched to digital, did you see a drop? Did you see that drop at Moonphoto? Like people that had always been coming to you for film,
Yeah.
weren't?
Yeah, it was a little bit scary because what do we do now? Because film is not coming in as much. So we had to get the equipment that would print digital files from their digital file without any film at all. And we did that. We got one Noritsu machine that did it in 2001, and we got a better one in 2005. So we could print digital from, at that point, a lot of people did film and then they'd scan it. Then we'd print from the scans.
When did you start doing the retouching work like we do today?
I started doing retouching back in the days of only film, and we would, the process was we'd take a picture of the old photo that was all scratched up or whatever, and then make a work print, and then airbrush and retouch with a tiny little brush all the little flaws and cracks in the original picture. And then we'd photograph that, and from that negative, we'd make a new print. So it was a 3-step process.
Where do you see film going in the future?
Well, I think it's holding its own. There's nothing quite like film, and I think a lot of people who had never shot film are starting to shoot it again. So while it went down around 2005 to 2010, I think it's been increasing, and now it's sort of holding its own. We still get a lot of film.
What's one of your favorite memories from Moonphoto?
Well, I remember a woman who was about 35 years old brought in a roll of film from her grandfather's camera, and she didn't know what was on there. Her grandfather had died a long time ago, and so she brought in wondering what was on the film. And it turned out it was pictures of her when she was 5 years old. I thought that was pretty cool. She loved it.
Do you have a favorite memory from the Greenwood location or that era?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I remember we did a picture of, I think it was called the Viking Lander on Mars. And the Pacific Science Center had us do a mural of the Martian landscape. And then when we went to go see the mural, they had mounted it inside a large circular room. And so you could stand in that little circular room and see the landscape as you looked around. I thought that was pretty cool.
Was it like a paper print, or how did they make it?
Yeah, it was a traditional photographic paper print, and it was about 4 by 6 feet.
What is one of the more difficult or unusual retouching jobs that you've seen come in?
Well, I remember some people brought in pictures that had been in a fire in their house, and there's all kinds of scorch marks and smoke damage to it. So we retouched every one to bring them back as best we could, and they were happy with that.
Since Moon has been around for 50 years now, what has brought you back day after day?
Well, I like to solve people's photographic problems or make things better than they would have been at just a drugstore type processing place. So if somebody goes on vacation, they have some great pictures, and they take them to a drugstore and they get them back, and they go, yeah, that's okay. But then, especially if they've saved their negatives, we can rescan it and blow it up and enhance it and make it look like wall art.
What's something that you would like to tell first-time film users?
I would say make sure you get enough exposure on the film. Don't underexpose it. That's the most common mistake people make when they're shooting film. Also, hold the camera steady and squeeze the shutter slowly. A faster shutter speed will help make it sharper. Most people cannot handhold a 60th or maybe even 125th of a second, so I urge especially first-time shooters to go up to 250th of a second. However, in that case, you have to open up the lens more because it's a faster shutter speed. You get a trade-off with less depth of field, but a sharper picture.
And I think you've said before that it's always better to overexpose it, and you can bring back some of those details.
When you're shooting color negative film especially, it's much better to have it on the film, the enough exposure on there, and even more than you need is better than not getting enough. So I went down to Noritsu in California, and they had a chart of right on, 1 over, 2, 3 stops over, 4 stops over, and the 4 stops over looked more manageable. It looked a little cartoonish, but 1 stop under looked kind of sick and gray. When you try to bring it back, you get extra grain. A common mistake a lot of photographers make is they open up the camera after they're done with the film, and that's very much a no-no. We've seen that over and over. Yeah. They even, sometimes people have come in on the front counter and they open the camera right in front of us, and we go, whoa, no, heck, no, don't do that.
Put it back.
Too late, you wrecked it.
Yeah.
Although some pictures in the middle of the film could be saved if it's only a second or so. But if you open it for like 10 seconds, then light will get in there and wreck most of the film.
So rewind your film back into the canister before you open the back.
Always rewind it before you open the back.
And if you're not sure, bring it in. We can check it.
We can check it for you if you're not sure.